So today's practice is an antidote to those really long hours of sitting. In addition to that, we get to experience Prana Vayu as well as Apana Vayu. Two very important of the 5 ways in which the body moves, which the wind moves in the body. Go ahead and get yourself a yoga mat, a chair, and 2 blankets, and meet me on the mat in Tadasana. So we start standing, and as you see here, I am standing on my blanket. This may not be necessary for you if you're a bit taller. And then I also have a blanket here covering the edge of the chair, because what I want to do is I want to tilt the chair in and have it so that the seat, the edge of the seat of the chair meets me just at the very high end of the shins, yeah? Not right at the kneecap, because that would be very uncomfortable. So right at the area of the shins, and making sure now, connect with all your 10 toes and be certain to have them pointing straight ahead of you if they're not already there. And then from here, really press the heels down, broaden through the arch. Actually kind of lift up to the arch of both feet a little bit. And then send your shins forward towards that edge of the chair. And then with your hands here on the seat of the chair, or on the top of the chair, let that be an encouragement to bring the shoulder blades not just back but down as well. So releasing the area of the neck and shoulders. And you can bring the toes back down. Just make sure that the feet are very alert, pressing down into the earth as the shins move forward towards the chair, as the tops of your thighs lift up. And then with all of this commitment, all of this strength, go ahead and lift your torso up, off of the pelvis. So bring the torso from the very base up and off of the pelvis. And so here the experimentation with Prana Vayu, the wind that moves out, up, in, can begin to be experienced. It's like right at the level of the diaphragm, it rises up and it comes back down. So just check in with how you feel. We're going to come back to this at the end of practice, and hopefully by then you feel that you are occupying a little bit more of this container that is your body. Yeah? And then as you're ready, go ahead and bring the seat of the back legs of the chair back down. Place your right foot on the chair. If you're an absolute novice in asana practice, in this yoga practice, it's worthwhile watching it the first time around, yeah? But if you're a regular practitioner, never mind, you can follow as we go. Then take both hands to either side of the chair, nudge that left foot back, and lower that left knee down. So then here, the idea is to square your hips. Surely that the hip of your bent leg, of your top leg, your right leg, is going to be one to hike up a little bit. So maybe take your hands to either side of the base of the chair and use that little extra point of stability to move that right hip down and to raise up through the left hip of the knee, the leg and the knee that's kneeling on the ground. And so you should be feeling a tremendous opening here in the area of the psoas on your left leg. Yeah? Please don't neglect that top leg. really press it down onto the chair. Really press it down and bring that hip down as well. So create some evenness to both sides of the hips, moving that direction. As you press down to that front leg, the right leg, you are also lifting the left side of the torso up a little bit higher. The shoulders remain relaxed, the neck is free. And again, Prana Vayu, from the diaphragm rising up and then back down. Breathe. And then from here, let's walk that right foot over towards the left side of the chair and drop that right knee down. So now we begin to work the area of the pelvic floor, and that's where Apana Vayu is our center for stability, for grounding, and also so helpful when we sit for so long. So what I like for you guys to do is take your shin, the front, the part of the shin that is touching the chair, and press down on it. And as you press down, notice how that activates that right outer hip. So enjoy that activation. Continue to press down. Continue to activate that right outer hip. You can stay right here, especially if you're feeling plenty of sensations here. But don't forget the back, the bottom leg. Yeah? So you are pressing down to that knee so that femur bone is really well engaged in the hip socket on the left side. So pressing down to the knee. Notice that I have my left foot flexed just so that it's a little bit more engaged, pressing back to that heel. One option is just to stay here, breathing. Another option is to lean forward. Notice that that intensifies it a little bit more, but don't go into flexion. Keep that length of the spine from the low belly out. The neck is free. And then from here, if you want to go even further, take your hands to the outside of the chair like so, or depending on the chair that you have, you may have to modify it a bit. And then from there, continue to press that right outer shin onto the chair as you begin to straighten that back leg. Breathe. Notice that I'm nudging my left leg back a little bit further. My focus is really on the inner groin of that left leg, pressing back towards the inner heel. So from the inner groin, I press back to the inner heel. Keep breathing in this way. The right outer shin pressing down to the chair so that you really activate that right hip. And the left inner groin pressing back to the left heel. The left thigh is fully engaged here. Breathe. And then from this, bring that left knee down. And now straighten out your right leg onto the chair. Maybe you stay right here into this somewhat of a runner's lunge. Or maybe you take it a little bit further and bring the entire leg or the entire hamstring, right, from that attachment to the glute on the left leg, from the attachment of the glute all the way out to the knee, supported by the chair. If you don't have a chair with an open back, you can do this sideways. Yeah. So then here again, the tendency is going to be to open up to the side, but I want you to bring those hips as squared as you can. Hanumanasana pose. Yeah, so that the legs are strong and the torso is rising evenly. And you breathe. And you breathe. So really stay active in those legs. And then through that activity of the legs, you have more freedom to rise. So Apana Vayu, here, through the legs, through the anchoring, the rooting, the stability, the grounding. And then Prana Vayu, that greater freedom, that lightness, that openness, that connection to all can begin to be experienced more easily. And then from this, go ahead and bend that front leg, the right leg, like so. And then come into Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. Again, you can do this on the side of the chair, and you can do this with no chair at all, right? Just to stay in the spirit of exploring these two types of prana while simultaneously, releasing the hips from all that sitting. So, from the inner groin of that right leg, I want you to extend out to your right knee and then press down into the foot. Press down, down, down. The left leg, don't forget to keep it engaged as well. Right? So that back leg sometimes just gets neglected. Keep it engaged. The toes are moving in slightly at an angle. And then from here, often that tendency to tilt with that front leg, but instead, bring the hands to your hips and lifting from the pelvis up. Again, this idea of Apana Vayu, down, spreading out, stabilizing, providing support, and then Prana Vayu. And then go ahead and go into the full expression of the pose with your arms, gazing over beyond those right fingertips. That's where your drishti is. Breathe. And breathe. And breathe. So the right glute is really active here. The right inner groin is really working its way back and out. And as you're ready, go ahead and come on back. Walk that straight leg forward. Step that bent leg in and through. And then let's go ahead and come to standing again in Tadasana. And let's just notice the effects of this work that you just did on this side. Took the chair again. Absolutely not necessary. You can just do your Tadasana standing, but do make sure that the toes are pointing straight ahead. Make sure that your shins are moving forward slightly with or without a prop, that the thighs are lifting up, and then the whole pelvic floor from its base rising up, rising up. Notice. Notice how the right side feels, how the left side feels. And then bring it back down. And let's do the other side. So moving your chair over, however you need to do with the device that you're watching it from. You know, ideally with these small practices, you take them on again a second time right after, maybe a third time, you know, with the assistance of the video. And then you can just own it, remember it, and use it as needed. When might you need Prana Vayu? Anytime you feel depleted. When might you need Apana Vayu? Anytime you feel too exalted, too much movement of nervousness, stress, anxiety. All right, so here we will take our left leg up. And then right from the get-go, before moving any further, feel the stability of what's underneath your feet and give more of your weight to that. And then take the hands down. And then walk that right foot back. Bring that right knee down. And then here, again, you feel that left hip is creeping up quite a bit, yeah? Maybe too much, yeah? Depending on your height, you may want to fold that bottom blanket a few more times to give you a little bit more height. But in either case, the idea is that that left hip is slightly higher because of the position that you're in, but But then your intention, your movement is on squaring the two hips. So yes, stay engaged on that bottom leg, on that bottom foot. The inner heel of that back leg is moving back. But then from here, also press down to that left foot, that front foot. Press down to your left hip, that front hip. Press down, so as to assist you in lifting more through the right side. Keep going, keep breathing, keep lengthening, keep expanding. How can you root a little more Apana Vayu, as to facilitate greater access to Prana Vayu. Keep breathing. So this area of the psoas here on the right, is just always jammed up, sitting on a chair, is most grateful for this breath of fresh air. Breathe. And then as you're ready, walk that right foot over to the left, dropping that left knee down. And then here, the outer shin of that left leg, you really want to press it down. So much so that you feel how much that outer glute on your left side activates. So keep that going. Keep breathing in this way, squaring the hips, right? The tendency will be to kind of tilt a little bit on, towards the right, but square the hips a little bit more. So more activity through that left hip here. And all the way from the base of the pelvis, you're lifting up, you're lifting up, you're lifting up. Diaphragm up, Prana Vayu. If you want to intensify it a bit, just bring your forearms onto the seat like so, but continue to press through the outer heel. And then make sure that you're not rounding the spine, but instead lengthening from the base, from the front of the spine as well. And then taking your hands in a way that really provides stability for you to possibly straighten that back leg as well. So the hips are square. The inner groin of that right leg extended back to the inner heel. The back of the neck is full. The top of that right thigh is fully engaged. From the low belly, you're lengthening up to the sternum, the forehead, the crown of the head, and beyond. Continue to press through that left shin and open through that left hip. Press down through the left shin and open through that left hip. And again, press down through the left shin and open through the left hip. And then from here, as you're ready, bring that back knee down. And then walk that left leg forward onto the chair, like so, like a high runner's lunge. Maybe you feel a lot of sensation here through the hamstring, and you stay right there. If you want to go a little bit further, walk your way in more. And if you want, if you can, right from the very base of the inner groin, have that supported by the chair, and then extend your leg from there. Now, surely that right outer hip is going to want to open up, so draw it back in. And breathe. Again, look for that stable base. So your two sits bones are rooted, even though neither one of them is really touching the chair. But because the legs are so fully engaged, they can be rooted. And then from that rooting, from that base, from that Apana Vayu, you can rise. And like the Hanuman, take a big leap of faith across the ocean. So as you reach the arms up, it's really a reminder to bring the entire torso with you. Yeah? from the very base of the pelvic bowl. From the perineum, you lift, you rise, you expand. Neck is free. Stay with your breath, stay with sensation. Engage, because in life we do need to engage. But then also release tension wherever it's not necessary. Perhaps your forehead, perhaps your jaw, perhaps your eyes, let that go. And then as you're ready, bring that left foot down like so, or maybe you're sitting on the side of the chair. Maybe you're not even using a chair at all. It's all good. And so that right leg, the straight leg, toes are not just pointing straight ahead, but slightly in. That thigh is fully engaged. And the hips, you want to align them, because the tendency is to be leaning towards that bent leg. So align your hips here. From the inner groin of that left leg, extend out to the left knee, and then down towards the ground. The outer hip will automatically engage more by doing that. So from the inner groin, extend out to the inner knee, because otherwise it's going to tilt in like so, right? It's a lot more comfortable that way. But do stay engaged. Do open those hips. Create more space in your base, right? And in order to create more space, you have to engage. Otherwise, no change can take place. You need that fire. And then you can go ahead and go into the full expression of the pose. Your drishti is beyond your left fingertips. Feel your armpits buoyant, and then extend your arms from that. Feel your shoulders dropping. You don't need to carry anything in your shoulders. And then from the crown, lifting up. Prana moving in through all the way to the area of the diaphragm, and then back up. Breathe. Engage that back leg a little bit more. It tends to forget. And press down to that front foot, the bent foot, the leg that is bent. Breathe. And breathe. Again, engaging where it's meant to, or calling for engagement, the legs, and then freeing up unnecessary tension or habits or patterns. Yeah. So you have to scan your body for that. And then as you're ready, go ahead and release. Straight leg bends out in front, and then the front leg draws in. And so we'll revisit Tadasana once more, but this time without any props, just standing. You could be on your blanket. Blanket's a little bit softer than the ground, so you may find it more interesting to actually just have your feet planted straight down. And then as you do, as you root down, see if you can tap into that flow of prana, of life force that expels, that releases, that lets go, all the while supporting you. Apana Vayu. And see if you can experience a prana flow that inspires, that delights, that is so deeply connected to possibilities. Prana Vayu. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.